Welcome back to another episode of the Dialed and Driven Hockey Mentality Podcast. Today I'm running solo here. Coach Chris Palmer's engaged in a mental performing session for this week. So I'm going to discuss the top 5 habits or rituals that athletes can establish in order to help sustain long-term success, get the results they want, and not get burnt out at the end of the day while chasing their goals and dreams. And speaking of goals, athletes, first ritual or habit you need to establish is you must set your goals, both short-term and long-term. If you've been around me long enough, you'll know that this is something that I live by. It helped me as an athlete, and now it's helped me in my post-athlete career as well. So it starts with establishing those long-term, big-picture goals. For me, I'd like to share a few relevant stories to kind of tie those teaching points in. But one of the things I learned after I was done playing, as I engaged more in the business world, was that goals must be SMART. The acronym SMART. They must be specific, they must be measurable, they must be attainable, must be relevant, and timely. So when you're working towards something, of course you're going to have those long-term goals, but the short-term goals in particular, you must stay engaged in chasing those goals under those classifications. So one example of that, which I'm proud to share, is when I arrived on the Michigan State campus to play Division I college hockey there. I had earned my scholarship to get there, and I was excited as a young freshman on campus to see what could be done in my next 4 years of playing there. So I remember early in my freshman year looking up at the banners that hung in the rafters. I didn't know a ton about the Michigan State hockey program history in terms of how many championships they'd won and all their long-term success. I, of course, knew they were a great program to play for, an hour away from home, so I was excited. But when I remember as a freshman, I looked up and I see Michigan State had won 2 national championships prior to my arrival on campus as a freshman. They had won championships in 1966, then won their second national championship in 1986, and then my freshman year, the winner of the championship was going to raise a banner that said National Champion 2006. So I kind of looked at it and I said, they win a national championship every 20 years? We're due to win one this year. Well, unfortunately for me, we didn't win it as a freshman, but that kind of set my goal that I wanted to pull my teammates into the fight of working toward greatness. At the time, the team was a solid team, a kind of middle-of-the-pack team in the league they competed in, and sporadically in the NCAA tournament. But for me, I remember thinking I want to accomplish that goal. So when you look at the structure of it, was it specific? Of course it was. Was it measurable? Yes, you either win it or lose it. Was it attainable? Yes, there were 59 teams in college hockey at the time, Division I, and one of those 59 is going to win that championship. Was it relevant? Of course. The only reason I went to that college was to play college hockey. I was a hockey first, student second, like many of you young athletes. Playing your sport and you're kind of taken to the path which leads you to where you can keep pursuing it. And then was it timely? I knew I had 4 years to do it. So that was my goal over the 4 years. So that was my long-term goal. And what needed to be done in order to get that long-term goal accomplished was that I needed to take care of the smaller goals, take care of the small goals, and the big picture will take care of itself. So first off, it was, hey, I got to earn some playing time if I want to be a piece of that puzzle in terms of the championship success. How do I earn playing time? Well, I got to be a great player at practice every day. I'm trying to make a great impression on the new coaching staff, new teammates. Practice, daily practice is your time that you can prove yourself. Start to gain a little street cred with the older players on the team. Start to gain some trust from your coaching staff. So to me, I set this small internal goal daily. I want to let up 5 goals or less every practice, which, as you can imagine, if you've played goaltender before, that's a tough task to accomplish at the highest level that I played at the time, Division I college hockey. But it really made me work my hardest every day. And although I didn't always accomplish it or frequently accomplish it, it kind of gave me that mindset that I'm working toward accomplishing a small goal And then that you gain your internal self-belief that you can do this, you can play at that next level. Eventually, I was able to take over the starting job, and eventually the next year we won the national championship. So I wanted to give a detailed example of what goal setting can look like. And then once you start to accomplish those goals, you'll build that confidence to keep establishing new goals. So if you're a track and field athlete and you want to beat your 100-meter sprint time, you start to build a little confidence that, I can get under 10 seconds now. I can get it to 9.8. Relish that feeling when you get it to 9.79. All those little goals that build that confidence and they keep you showing up for more to keep challenging yourself. Second ritual and habit that you can establish, athletes, is that you must learn from others in your sport. If you're a golfer, you must be engaged watching college golf, professional golf. See what those other athletes do. Read about how they prepare. Study on how they set up before a shot. Study on how they read pucks. Be a student of your own game. That's the best advice I can give. You have to be fully engaged and truly understand what it takes to get to your next level or your highest peak of your individual sport. I was a kid that grew up in Metro Detroit, a hockey market, and so I would frequently get to professional hockey games with the Detroit Red Wings or college hockey games, University of Michigan, where my uncle played. My dad played at Ohio State down the road. We'd go on road trips there. I'd be engaged in watching competitive hockey at the levels that I aspired to get to. And frequently I would wake up, watch Sports Center. I'd wait for those NHL highlights. Nowadays, people can get instant feedback on games. You can watch your sport highlights, not only the good parts that come on social media where everyone's free to share the highlight reel play of each sport, but also watch the flow of the event. See how athletes have failed. See what it takes to be successful, but also see the other end of it. Another way you can learn is from your teammates. Learn from teammates on your team who are having success. Maybe they're the starting point guard on your team, and you want to know what they do to be such a good three-point shooter. You have to study what they do. Learn from your teammates. Learn from opponents. When you're looking at your stat lines of your individual sport, see who's on the leaderboard and start to study what they do in order to be successful. I know for me as a teenager, moving away, trying to chase my college hockey dream, we go to a level of play called junior hockey. I had a 20-year-old goalie partner. I was a 17-year-old. He's a handful of years older than me. He had already had success in the league. So I started to study what does he do in order to feel confident for a game? How does he practice? How does he prepare for a game? What does he do so that I want to replicate his success? And eventually I kind of took some of the things I thought were relevant and applied them to my game and established my own identity. So learning from others, key number 2, in order to be successful. Number 3, stay engaged and dominate your current level. I can't stress this enough, especially with teenage athletes. Everyone wants that big goal of making the jump to the next level. But far too many times, athletes are so worried about their next step that they don't dominate their current level. Again, I'll use a track and field athlete. If you're thinking that you want to play Division I at your current sport or current event, and you can't make the lineup or you can't make the finals of certain high school events, you're not focused on the right things. You have to dominate your current level. So as a goaltender for me or as a hockey player, you want to be the go-to guy or girl on your team. Be that go-to athlete that people say when the game's on the line, when the match is on the line, we can trust them. So dominate your current level. I remember when I was playing college hockey, I didn't have this thought of leaving early. In hockey and athletics, you can sign early. It's common for top-end athletes to not stay all 4 years. And I remember hearing stories of other college hockey players that in between periods, they'd get on their phone, they'd call their agent and say, hey, is so-and-so going to sign me after this game? I'm having a good game. Did you see my hat trick after 2 periods? Those are true stories. And I remember thinking, like, how can these players be so worried about next year when their teams lose in 6-3, but they have all 3 goals and they're just worried about signing on for next year? Maintain your hyper-focus on having success for the time you're living in. So in our sport, you're going to play 2 games on the weekend. Have that big picture goal. We want to sweep the weekend. We want to win both. Well, how do you get there? You got to win the first one. How do you win the first one? Starts out with a great first period. How do you have a great first period? You have great game day preparation and great pregame warm-up and a great mentality going into it. So you have to stay in the moment and really work on dominating your current level and then earn your next steps. Your next steps will be shown that they're going to be much easier to accomplish when you're that top player or top athlete in your said sport. You want to be that teenage athlete that when it's the middle of the summer and all those Division I schools can officially reach out to you, you want to be that athlete that has them all lined up for you, not the one that you're chasing them all down. Athletes, the way you can do that is stay hyper-focused on your current success. I've seen far too many stories where athletes have become distracted on what's going to be coming up in the future or where they hope to get to, and then they can't even crack the lineup. There was one hockey player I dealt with. He could map out every junior league across the country, both in the U.S. and Canada. He could name every single team, but yet he had 2 goals all year and couldn't even crack the lineup on the power play. So, of course, he didn't even make that next step. He went to the junior hockey training camp, and unfortunately, he wasn't good enough. He didn't spend his time doing the extra workouts and getting into the shooting room and doing all the little things that it takes in order to be impactful at those levels. He had so much time and stress wasted on, I might go to this junior camp, or I can't wait to play in this league because so-and-so plays here. But yet the time was wasted because he didn't really go and dominate the current level. So athletes, best phrase I can give you is live in the moment and the future will take care of itself. Next, you want to make sure you jumpstart your day. What that means is whether that's a good breakfast, water right when you wake up, get some energy that you can help sustain yourself throughout the whole course of the day. Now, not everyone is a morning person like me. Science has shown you're either a lark, which means you like to wake up early, or you're an owl, you're a night owl. That's where that phrase comes from. That's where your brain can be one or the other. So even if you're that night owl type, and you hate getting up early, you need 6 alarms to go up before you can get out of bed, work to build that habit, because there's no sport at the higher levels, college or pro, where there's unstructured days. Everyone at those higher levels has some sort of structure to your day, and the structure starts early. There's not a sport out there that thinks about, so-and-so stays up till 3 in the morning, so we can't start until noon. So even if you're that night owl type, work to build that habit where you're shutting it down a little earlier so you can have enough energy in the morning. You get immediate water in you to get your body hydrated. You get a good breakfast. Learn what it means to have a good breakfast. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you got to fuel up for the day. So learn how to make some eggs or simple stuff. Buy some hard-boiled eggs from the grocery store if you can. Learn how to have some instant oatmeal in you. There's a ton of information out there regarding nutrition, immediate protein, and water upon waking up, which will help you sustain some energy, get your metabolism going for the day. I'm not going to pretend to be a certified nutritionalist, but I have been around athletes my whole life and been an athlete and engaged in that. So I can tell you simple steps of getting your water and having immediate breakfast within the first 30 minutes of waking up will help you jumpstart your energy over the course of the day. If you've ever been around me, people often wonder, how the heck do I have energy to go up from sun up to sundown each and every day? Well, I jumpstart it every day. Water immediately upon waking up, and then having a good fueling breakfast to really get my mind and body engaged. And that's the athlete trick. If you're trying to build more muscle and you're trying to build yourself more stamina, you have to fuel up. So jumpstart your day there. And secondly, on that point, athletes, is do something that helps you accomplish an early task. Whether it's just making your bed. Hey, I made my bed right upon waking up. I've already done something today. It kind of, in your back of your mind, it builds a little internal confidence. Or whether that's getting to your workout on time. You've established an early morning, 6:30 a.m. workout. I'm going to make sure that I roll into that gym by 6:30 a.m. Build that internal confidence. I know from those who have summer jobs, you start to build a little bit of belief in yourself when you have to get to a certain destination at kind of an uncomfortable time. I can't believe I have to be across town by 7:30 in the morning. How the heck am I going to do that? I have to wake up early. I have to plan and think about that there might be traffic. I remember for me as a kid, I used to have, my first job was picking weeds for $10 an hour. I was hired by some landscaping company, had to kind of do the dirty work, the grunt work that no one wanted to do. I would get the address of the destination that I had to go to the next morning. And I remember having those habits be built. It was a job that really isn't a glorious type job. I had to get down on my hands and knees and go through everyone's shrubs and pick weeds. But I remember having that internal discipline to say, hey, the boss said be there by 7 a.m. I have to be there by 7 a.m. And of course, there were the times few and far between where something came up. There was traffic, there was an accident, my alarm didn't go off, it was on too quiet. But those are the things you learn from, and those are, especially at your teenage years, start to set yourself up to go through those exercises so you can learn those habits. Because once you get to your next stage that you're chasing, whether that's junior hockey for hockey players or college hockey or college sports for other youth athletics, you have to have that discipline built already. They don't want to teach you that when you get there. You're there to perform for that said university, or if you go right into the professional ranks in your sport, you're there to perform. So building those habits along the way as teenagers are what's going to help you have that confidence and belief in yourself that you can accomplish anything when you get to those next levels of competitiveness. So jumpstart your day immediately, learn those habits. And if you are someone who really just does not get along with the morning, you can then work to apply an afternoon nap to re-energize yourself for the rest of the day if needed. So if you're someone who really just struggles in the morning, start to win that morning little by little. Then if you do need that afternoon nap, obviously another part that's good for your brain, can help you reset, and you can still finish the day strong. So I encourage all the athletes to get up and get that early morning workout in. You want to fuel yourself for the rest of the day, and it kind of just gives you that internal belief that I'm going to be used to this when I get to the next stage of competitiveness, because we'll tell you, college athletes, they're in the gym early. They're in the gym early. We were just running our goalie camp up at Michigan State University, Munn Ice Arena, which is where the Division I team plays. So we were there setting up for our camp early morning, Monday morning, and they just completed a world-class gym renovation in the rink. And Division I women's volleyball team, their workout started at 6:30 a.m. We're there setting up for our summer goalie camp. The women are in there working out. Once they were done at 7:30, in came some of the golfers. They were getting their little morning routine, and they were using that space as part of being a college athlete. So interesting to see that whatever sport you play, those morning hours are going to be demanded of you. And lastly, athletes, fifth and final habit that you can start to do right now in order to build long-term success is start to have a planned rest day or cheat day, for lack of better words. A day where you know that you've gone all in on the other 6 days of the week, that you can kind of turn your brain off and be a normal athlete, be a normal teenager. Maybe that's the night before is the night that you're allowed to stay up late and play video games with your buddies, or stay up and have some fun with your friends. But only do that 1 out of the 7 days. That's the trick. That's where the discipline comes in. Anyone can do that 5 or 6 days out of 7 out of the week. But it's those high achievers are the ones that stay disciplined on the other 6 days on the early morning workout, the extra routine, the extra work, going to your summer job, going to dominate your current sport, having the right hydration, having the right meals. But they're able to do it 6 out of 7 days. So planned rest day or cheat day, in a sense, 1 day out of the 7 will help you build that long-term sustainability. And I learned that as an athlete growing up. So that'd be the day that I'd have 3-4 slices of pizza. We all know that's not the best thing for athletes to have all the time, but it was 1 day per week. So we want you to still have that human element. What many athletes experience is that if they're just, everything is always overbearing and there's no real human element to it, they start to hate their sport. They start to really just say it's treated like a job, yet they don't get paid and they don't have fun doing it. So that's the worst part about athletics, is when the love of the sport goes away and athletes just show up because they're told they're supposed to show up. If you read about highly competitive athletes, like Michael Phelps is one of the most successful athletes in the history of all sports. You know, there's probably a reason why he had success, and then also had some depression to deal with, because all he knew was 7 days a week, swimming. So of course you're going to have that element of success. Those 7 and 8-year-olds who are on the all-star teams and all they know is to go to superstar tournaments. Trust me, I can tell you, many of those athletes hate the sport by their teenage years. So learn to have that sustainability day in a sense. It's not a day where you just sit on the couch and do nothing. You still have to get up, go for a walk, get a little stretch in, but have some fun with your friends, enjoy yourself, start to develop the overall human that you are. Teenage athletes really need athletic development. Of course, you're still in school, so you need that academic development. And the third part is you need some socialization. You need a social development as well. It helps keep you grounded. It helps you learn how to be a good teammate, be a good friend to people. There's going to be many times that you're going to need the love and support of others with some friendship. So it's a good time where you're building your friendships over the course of your years that you do take time to really build those relationships as well. I know for me, 3 of my best buddies all growing up, we all were like-minded. We all stuck together in terms of working out together, doing a lot of the extra work. And we all had the same path and goals in mind. So that helped us have that structure of the week where we'd be very disciplined and hardworking for X amount of time, and then have that one day where we all hung out like teenagers and we were up maybe later than the other nights. But it's all healthy when it's done within reason. Lastly, to that point, it becomes imperative to operate in that structure because then you start to really find your true self. You start to identify, I don't really like the habits that so-and-so's been up to for his high school years, but I do see that this person already has a college scholarship and we get along. We're close enough. You start to engage with people that you really want to be around. And that's the unfortunate or the truth of sports is high-level athletics is only rewarded to a minute percentage. It's not the common average teenager or common average athlete that gets to the highest levels. In hockey, we like to call it the hockey pyramid, where everyone else kind of falls off the pyramid as the higher levels are accomplished. So that's where you have to get to yourself as an athlete. Who do I want to be around? Who's going to positively impact my life? And when my times are tough, who's going to be there to support me? And vice versa. Who will I be there for when their times are tough as well? And that's the one of the best benefits of playing sports is that there is a team environment in many sports, or there is an athlete-like environment if it's more of an individual sport such as tennis or golf, where you can get along with, you can have some camaraderie with all of those, even some of your opponents that you play in a match. You can still build that same like-minded path because you guys know what you're getting into together. So athletes, those are the top 5 rituals that you can start right now. I suggest picking one of them, doing it for 7 days straight, and build that confidence that you can do it. Again, science has shown that if you can do something for 21 straight days, you've now built a long-term habit. So again, just to recap, goal setting, set your standards, set your goals, learn from others in your sport, dominate your current level, jumpstart your day, and establish that planned reset day. So athletes, hope you got something out of this. I know that times can be tough when you're chasing big picture goals, big picture dreams. Remember to keep staying down and staying driven, because that's the only way you'll find success.
Oh, Jeff Lerg! One of the best saves you will ever see. Keeps this game alive.
Chris Palmer again, the Hockey Mentality Podcast.